FaZe clan started this year with a new look, with an unexpected forever drops and his replacement by a completely different player in the face of EliGE. The difference between these players and the general role distribution in this new lineup is a topic for another video. But one of the biggest weaknesses of FaZe in the last year was the fact that they simply didn't have their own map pick. Their most picked map was Nuke, but by the end of the year they completely lost confidence on it. So by the end of the year we were seeing way too many different maps being picked, which felt pretty damn ridiculous. I mean, you have to be flexible and punish your opponents by choosing their weaker map, but I haven't seen this many different picks last year in any other teams. Karrigan admitted it in Shanghai Major.
Going back to Inferno now, karrigan, that was your pick, but it just went terribly for you guys. What went wrong?
I don't know, we don't really have a pick right now.
So in 2025, they tried to make Inferno their main map pick, but so far it's been their worst map by far. FaZe quickly realized that their Inferno wasn't working and went into a different direction. They started relying on Ancient, and so far it's been their best map, even after the last two painful losses against Falcons and Astralis. And despite Ancient being a pretty balanced map, it's their T side that really stands out and makes their Ancient a legitimately strong pick. I've noticed some really cool ideas, so let's get started. The cities feel their best on mid when they're running downhill and feeling no pressure at all. So FaZe came up with a free harassment idea. The HEs from the wall is pretty common nowadays, but this lineup HE over the wall deals much more damage and slowing down the cities who are trying to progress downhill, which is pretty underrated aspect of the HEs. This over the wall HE is pretty deadly for cities. I mean, when you can soften up 3 players with one piece of utility, it's definitely a dangerous weapon to have. I have noticed that in this particular game, Big didn't really want to mess with FaZe and take this free damage, so sometimes they completely left mid uncontested. And despite a 5-7 city half, the T side of FaZe was strong enough to crush Big's defense and close the game comfortably 13-10. Another thing that I want to mention is that this HE can be used as a round boost issue solver. We've seen in the last video how powerful run boosts are, and people are trying to throw flashes while cities are setting up the run boost, but it's not something that you can reliably count on, and it takes away so many resources from you at the start of the round. But when you get this amount of damage and slow even before the setup, I would definitely question if you would ever try to do it again. It's definitely not a 100% solver for all mid issues. Cities can just wait a bit to avoid most of the damage, but this breaks the timings for cities to get in close. Here you can see how limited the cities are. Missing your op shots doesn't help either, but even in the best case scenario, it's one and done situation for slugs here. And FaZe are really strong in these heavy mid takes, when they completely overwhelm you with a little chance to fight back. Another thing is this nade can interrupt a run boost and deal significant damage, but sometimes it's simply not enough to stop the cities from making it happen. So FaZe innovated this 1HE harassment concept. We were able to see it for the first time against G2 in Katowice, and the amount of damage is quite absurd. I mean, when you lose so much HP, do you really want to jump into donut at the beginning of the rounds? In this particular round, FaZe eventually showed their great mid-round plays, when EliGE karrigan Brocky pack went in the red room with a small fake from their B player in the face of rain. But back to the 2HE's concept. With the damage threat, the cities definitely would try to avoid this damage at any cost. Same happened in a Soul game when cities were simply giving up mid just to stay relevant in the later portion of the round. The only issue with this concept is you want to throw those nades as fast as possible, so cities won't be able to pass by the danger zone and avoid most of the damage, which happened here, even though Agile still getting harassed pretty significant. And obviously, FaZe often are playing mid pretty fast, but what makes this team very dangerous on Ancient is their versatility on mid take. They can wrap mid from two sides with fast heaven run out, and it's pretty deadly counter for any cities who've decided to play close mid. Here you can see FaZe are even prepared for an AWPer holding heaven and flashing him away from this powerful angle. They can even do it on a lighter base, and in this particular round you can see how hard this mid approach counters everyone who decided to play close. In this example, Mouse ran boosted exertion on heaven to counter any fast lane plays, but despite him getting an entry and Mouse enabling a cave player for mid fights, FaZe end up being in advantage after those trades. They might do it even in a slower pace. Here you can see EliGE recognizing an opportunity to surprise cities by sneaking through the smoke. However, Stun is falling back completely, and just a couple of moments later, EliGE is already in red room waiting for a right moment to strike. And despite him losing a duel to karrigan, it creates some hesitation for cities, since they are not expecting an EliGE to be a primary lurker. So FaZe are gunning for their second round in this game. And against Astralis, FaZe were able to take 6 T rounds, despite losing the first 4 in a row and 5 out of the first 6. On round 11, we can see the 1 over the HLTV plus 1 nade on fly concept on full display. It seems like the molly that's supposed to land to the Kabi was missed by EliGE, but it works only in FaZe's favor. Astralis tried to make a run boost here, but both Yabi and karrigan eat the first HE. karrigan is trying to recover the situation, but steps on a molly. Then he gets even more damage from the second HE and eventually burns down to crisp. And no matter who are they playing against, it feels like on this particular area of the map, they are simply unstoppable. Right on the next round, FaZe are surfing up karrigan again with over the wall HE. EliGE is using a smoke against a double molly combo from cities to edge out mid. They slowly get them full mid control and turn a red room into a battleground with non-stop fights. In a game against Falcons, whenever FaZe decided to attack mid, they've always secured an advantage. Nico is Falcons' main mid player, but don't get a big name fool you. This is a new spot for him and he has only 1.05 rating on city side on Ancient, so for FaZe it's not a hard puzzle to solve. Right after losing a pistol round, FaZe decided to take mid control. It's much more default approach with the red room and donut smokes, combined with a close wall molotov and barrage of flashes, and despite Nico getting better of EliGE, Frozen is more than ready to trade him. 2 rounds later, we can see 2 over the EliGEs thrown out just to remind Falcons about their existence. Later on, with the help of cave smoke from Rain, which is thrown not from spawn that we used to see, FaZe walked out mid and smoked red room. Eventually, it's 4+1 A split through donut, and it seems that the magic smoke might be an issue, but the break mechanic works wonders for these. On round 7, Nika was completely caught off guard and exposed by EliGE at the middle of nowhere, which ultimately led to an easy FaZe round. And in the final round of the first half, Nico clearly wasn't expecting a mid pop with a slight delay, and gave a free entry to FaZe again. However, in this particular round, some unfortunate timings and lack of awareness of individual mid-round active plays from cities cost them a free round. In this particular game, it felt like FaZe didn't utilize mid enough. They might be the best mid-taking team in the world right now, with EliGE Frozen duo on tip of the spear, but it felt like the data of Falcons B defense being a liability led them away from their strongest part of the game. Those are the only rounds when FaZe were actually attacking mid. In the rest of them, there were some straight up side attacks like this A exec, which even casters were confused about. And sometimes it's necessary to change the tempo and your point of attack, but in this game, whenever FaZe didn't pressure mid, they lost the round. And this half eventually ended up being a 4-8 score in the favor of Falcons. But sometimes, when they were dominant on mid throughout the entire half, these change-ups works great. For example, those 2 straight up side attacks with a little mid pressure in a row against G2 gave them a win in overtime. On 14-13 scoreline, it was actually a double exec to make cities guess and question every possible option. That's a crazy entry from karrigan, by the way, but this strat works perfectly here. So on the last round, FaZe decided to make a simple B contact play, and EliGE puts the final nail in the coffin. Overall, FaZe T side is looking pretty solid on Ancient. So far, they are 4th in the top 30 in the utility damage per round with 30.2. They are also winning 56.1% of the rounds, which is 3rd best, and recovering 36.9 for V5 situations, which is also 3rd best, and those are impressive stats. However, they are struggling against stronger opposition. They are overall at the bottom half at trading, with 21.3% of death being traded, which is pretty concerning to begin with, and to me, this indicates a slightly too individualistic style of play. So that's when the fundamentals should play a key role to display a respectable game. We've seen that the FaZe is having glimpses of having their home map. Their dominant approach on mid area can be one of the best in the world, and barely anyone can stand against that. However, there are some details that are still missing to become the biggest threat on this map. But FaZe have all the utilities and puzzles to become the best on Ancient. To support this channel, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and see you next time. Peace.